Hey folks, hope everybody's doing all right today. It's Sunday morning, and as one of my customers called this, the Sawdust Road Show. I'm heading from the Spokane area where I milled for a couple days for a great customer. Thank you very much, Dave. We milled about, well, a little over 3,000 board feet. I didn't actually get a good count because they were working so hard hauling it off, and I was working too hard trying to get it done for them. But what I did account for was about 3,000 board feet, so it's a good weekend. And now we're continuing on and heading north almost to the Canadian border up above Bonners Ferry, Idaho. So that'll be fun. A couple days up there, and then finally I'll get to turn around and head the 260 miles home. So round trip of over 500 miles. It's been a good trip so far. The turkeys woke me up this morning at about 4. I wanted to stuff that bird. Nah. Actually, it was kind of cool to be laying there half awake anyway at 4 o'clock in the morning, listening to the turkeys gobble back and forth at each other. They were kind of fun. It's kind of cool. They were right up there, came to check out the operation. Maybe they just figured it was a bunch of turkeys working that operation. Anyway, I got to get to driving. We're just going through some farmland here. The weather looks pretty good. Hopefully it stays like this. We got rained on a little bit yesterday, but it's nothing this old Jarhead can't handle. We used to say, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. Of course, we didn't like that, but you know, that's what we said. All right, we're getting there. Got another, just over 20 miles to go. And so this weekend on the old Jarhead Sawdust Road Show, I like that. One of my potential new customers asked me if I brought my Sawdust Road Show as far north as he is, and well, I'm almost to the Canadian border, so I'd say that's a big yes. We're actually in bear country up here. A friend of mine does a lot of fishing up here, and he says there's grizzlies and all kinds of things up here. And you know, I grew up in bear country, so I'm not too worried about bears rummaging around. I figure if they leave me alone, I'll leave them alone. I actually had a bear sniff my head once. It's true. Hard to believe, I'm sure, for some of you, but I used to do a lot of open camping, you know, just throw a sleeping bag on the ground and go to sleep. And one trip I was going camping with a friend of mine, Doug. Doug and I hiked several miles to a really nice beach on a lake called Sprout Lake outside of Port Alberni, British Columbia. We didn't have a tent or anything, couldn't afford a tent. Had a backpack, one between the two of us, sleeping bag and a blanket, and that was about it, you know, and some food and some things to cook with. And we set up camp, and after we got camp set up, which wasn't a whole lot to set up other than to get a fire pit and get a fire going and make a fridge in the lake. You know, you just dig a bit of a hole in the cold water and surround it with rocks, and you can put your food in there and put rocks on top of them, and that helps keep the smell down and keeps them cold, especially in those ice cold waters. We set up camp, and there was another camper about 7,500 yards away in an actual camp trailer, and we went over to say hi, and they said, "Did you see the bear?" No, what bear? I mean, I'm sure there's bears around. They said, "Oh, there's been one rummaging around the area." So after we visited with them for a little while and hung out at their fire, we went back to our own, and I took my backpack and set that a little bit away from camp. There was no trees to hang it in or anything, so just kind of set it and put some rocks on it and figured, it'll be good enough. So we hung around to get campfire for a while, and I was pretty tired, so I told Doug I was going to lay down and go to sleep, and he couldn't believe me, actually. He was kind of worried. He was a city boy, and he wasn't used to being out there in the woods. And, of course, we were on a beach, and the woods were, 70, 80 yards away at least. But there was some scrub brush around, and it was a beautiful setting. So anyway, I laid down and went to sleep. Laid down on the sleeping bag. We had the sleeping bag spread out double so we each could sleep on half of it instead of just sleeping in the dirt. And, you know, and a blanket to share. That was it, right? Good times. I think we were about 15, 16 years old. Doug was pretty worried about the bear, and so he kept the fire going, but eventually he laid down and got some sleep. And at one point he woke up because he heard something, and he heard this bear sniffing around, and he was pretty worried about it. And I had told him earlier, I said, you know, there's not much we can do. If the bear's hungry and he wants to eat us, he's going to come after us. And if he ain't, well, then we don't got to worry about him. Well, that bear apparently came right into our camp. I didn't believe Doug. I woke up in the morning and he said, holy cow, it's about time you woke up. You know, that bear was in camp and he was rummaging around. I was so afraid he was going to attack us. And he came right up and sniffed your head, and you snored, and he turned and ran away. And I laughed. I told him, there is no way a bear came down and sniffed my head. I don't believe a word you said. And I rolled over and went to get up. You know, you kind of laying down, and so I kind of rolled over, did a sit up, and turned around and got up, and there was a bear print right there at the head of the sleeping bag where my head was, and there were some others coming and going, and he had grabbed our backpack, or my backpack, and dragged it another 20 yards away, but he didn't do anything with it. I guess he figured there's no food in it, so what's the point? And off he went. So swear to God, folks, that's the truth. That's the honest to God truth. I got some other bear stories I can tell you one of these days, maybe. Crazy times, you know, that's what kids do. But anyway, we're about 15-20 minutes from this customer's location, and got to get pulled in and drop the mill off, and then park the camper somewhere and get to work. So I'm gonna put you down and make this final drive, and we'll bring you some footage of milling up here in Moye Springs, or Moyer Springs, or I don't even know how to pronounce the name of the place I'm going. It's M-O-Y-I-E, Moya Springs. I don't know. I'll find out what the locals call it. I've never been here before, though. I know it's really close to the Canadian border up here in the hill country. Beautiful country. I love this part of the States, you know. I love this part of the country. I'm a Northwest boy, born and bred, and I'll tell you, I've been all over the world, and this is the best. This is the best place you could be. But don't move here if you're from California. Just joking, guys. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna put you down and get back to driving, and we'll bring some of that Sawdust Roadshow to you here in a bit.